Welcome to Investing in Comic Books. This is our video series promoting our series of books on the history of comics and looking at the rarity and how valuable books are over a period of time. On today's show, we're going to look at Our Army at War, number 83, put out by DC Comics in 1959. Let's look at some of the pros and cons of should we invest in this book or not. Well, it's the second most valuable Silver Age genre comic book, and actually I think it might have just recently become the number one most valuable because of its huge increase just in the latest guide. It's the first true appearance of Sergeant Rock, drawn by Joe Kubert, famous artist who just passed away. This book is scarce and high grade. We're going to see that on the census in a moment. In total, CGC has graded 41 copies. That is very few books. And graded 9.0 or better, only one book. And as of the last decade, Heritage Auctions has sold 16 copies. And that means roughly one copy a year has gone up on Heritage in all conditions combined. Let's look at the Overstreet Price guide. What's this book done in the last 5 years? Well, this book is hotter than hot. In fact, you'll notice that in the last 5 years, the book has almost tripled in high grade. Yes, that's right. I said tripled. That almost never happens, but this book has been doing it. Huge growth in 2012, and it's been very steady every year. The demand for Sergeant Rock has never been stronger. Of course, he's the most important and recognized DC war hero ever created. And of course, the books are over 50 years old. They're just not turning up. War is a harder genre to find, especially in high grade, than superhero books are. And this is a 50s book. This book was out on the newsstands before people were collecting books. And definitely were not collecting war comics, thinking they'd ever have value in the future. So we see gigantic growth in the highest grades. Even looking at the worst grades at 2.0, the book has exactly doubled in the last 5 years. And that's bound to go up higher. If you look for this book on eBay, there are people selling books graded 2.0, and they're already asking triple guide for beat-up copies. And when those are the only copies that are even available, even though I'm going to say those copies probably aren't going to sell until the sellers lower their price to be a little more realistic, the simple fact is, if you want a copy, you are paying over guide for it no matter what condition it's in. Let's look at some Heritage sales. In the past decade, they've sold 16 copies, but they have never sold a copy graded higher than a 6.5, which is a fine plus. Shows you that the high-grade copies just are not out there. If you want one, that's about the best you're going to get a chance. And in 2007, they sold 2 copies. In fact, it might have been the same book that they resold. And the first sale went for $1,900. Now, at that time, in 2007, that book was worth about $500, so it sold for 4 times guide. And the copy below it sold for 3 times guide. Let's look at the CG census. So we mentioned there's only one copy in the world graded a 9.0. After that, there's a 1 8.0. There's a couple 7.5. So really, even just the handful of the 10 best copies in the world is already going to bring you down to a 6.5, which is what we saw Heritage selling. So, if you've got one of the 10 best copies, you're a lucky fellow. You've got a prized book that everybody wants. So, to sum up, what do we decide about this book? Well, it's scarce in all conditions. It's a war comic from the 50s. It wasn't a number one issue. It wasn't an important character at the time. It was just another random issue. But since then, Sergeant Rock became super popular, got his own series, and that ran for hundreds of issues. Scarce in all conditions. High grade has tripled. Low grade has doubled. Copies rarely turn up for sale on Heritage or eBay. And when they do, we've seen 3 to 4 times guide value in the best copies. Do I recommend this book? Yes, this is definitely 2 thumbs up. If there was ever a book, this is the one to invest in. Our Army at War. If you'd like to study up other golden, silver, or bronze age books, we have a series of books called Investing in Comics, where we have looked at thousands of books and done this kind of market research with all of them. So the information's at your fingertips handily. You can check out our books at HawknesComics.com. If you have a suggestion for a book you'd like to see in this series of videos, please contact me at Hawknes@hotmail.com. and I do my best to put a video together special for you. I'm Terry Hoknes. Thanks for watching.